Nancy Mace just delivered the most shocking display of political hypocrisy in modern memory. After meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, victims left her in tears and triggered a panic attack. She immediately defended Trump's Epstein connections. This betrayal of abuse survivors exposes the depths of MAGA loyalty. The GOP's moral collapse reached unprecedented levels when a self-proclaimed abuse survivor abandoned victims for political expedience. Mace's initial reaction to meeting Epstein survivors showed genuine human empathy. Breaking, Representative Nancy Mace walked away in tears, visibly shaken after meeting with Epstein victims. This is the same congresswoman who once claimed there is no Epstein list and pushed for cushy prison deals. Now the receipts are in her face. The survivors are speaking, and it's rattling the protectors. Mace's previous courage in exposing her own abuse made her emotional response understandable. She had bravely testified about her traumatic experiences.
South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace taking to the House floor to publicly accuse 4 men, including her ex-fiancé, of what she described as heinous crimes against women, including herself.
I'm going scorched earth. So let the bridges I burn this evening light our way forward.
Yet Mace's credibility became questionable when she dramatically claimed assault from a simple handshake.
South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace says she was physically accosted by a transgender advocate on Capitol grounds. The reported assault has become controversial, with some advocates disputing the Congresswoman's account, just as the lawmaker showed back up to work Wednesday, seen in the hallways wearing a brace. According to a filing Wednesday in D.C. Superior Court, police say a Congress member reported that McIntyre took her hand with both of his hands and shook her arm up and down in an exaggerated, aggressive handshaking motion that lasted 3 to 5 seconds. The filing states she was experiencing pain in her wrist, arm, and armpit shoulder due to the incident.
Her previous testimony detailed horrific experiences that shaped her understanding of abuse.
Mace, without specific evidence, spent close to an hour detailing allegations, including rape and filming women and young girls without their consent. She accused her ex-fiancé, Patrick Bryant, of being at the center of the scheme, which she says she uncovered on his phone.
I found myself face to face with the darkest corners of humanity.
But Mace's ultimate betrayal came hours after her emotional breakdown with Epstein victims. Despite her trauma and panic attack, she immediately pivoted to defending Trump. Emotional Nancy Mace breaks down at Epstein horror, then immediately shields Trump. Representative Nancy Mace, RSC, defied President Donald Trump to vote to advance the release of files from the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case, but then quickly stepped in to give a full-throated MAGA defense of Trump's own involvement with the late financier. Mace was one of a small handful of Republicans to sign the discharge petition from Representatives Ro Khanna, DCA, and Thomas Massie, RKY, compelling the release of the remaining Epstein files. The Trump administration has warned GOP lawmakers that backing the petition is a hostile act against Trump. And Massie, a frequent thorn in the side of GOP leadership, hit back by suggesting Trump may be covering for some rich and powerful people that are friends of his. For her part, Mace is herself a sexual assault survivor and was visibly emotional after listening to testimony from those victimized by Epstein, being seen striding away from the vote in tears. She would later confirm on social media that the experience gave her a panic attack. However, on Wednesday, she took to X again to clarify that not only does she not blame Trump for his own involvement with Epstein, but she considers him the hero of the story. President Trump is the one who banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. President Trump is the one who cooperated with the feds to get this guy, wrote Mace. President Trump is the one who is committed to protecting women and kids. In reality, aside from the long string of women who have accused and, in one case, successfully sued Trump for sexual misconduct, experts who have followed the story say Trump's claim to have banned Epstein after he poached young girls from his club doesn't add up and is contradicted by a timeline in which Trump was publicly praising Epstein for years after that. This represents the most morally bankrupt moment in recent political history. Mace went from tears and panic attacks after hearing Epstein survivors to immediately defending the very person those survivors implicate in their trauma. The economic implications extend beyond individual hypocrisy. When political leaders prioritize party loyalty over survivor testimony, they create systems where powerful predators operate with impunity. This corruption costs taxpayers billions in investigations, legal proceedings, and institutional damage. Mace's transformation exposes the fundamental choice facing Republican officials: stand with abuse survivors seeking justice or protect Trump despite overwhelming evidence of his connections to Epstein's trafficking network. Her claim that Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago contradicts documented evidence showing Trump praising Epstein years after the alleged ban. This isn't just political spin, it's gaslighting abuse survivors who've suffered enough manipulation. The Trump administration's warning that supporting Epstein file releases constitutes a hostile act reveals their desperation to keep these documents buried. When transparency becomes hostility, corruption becomes policy. Mace's transformation from scorched earth truth-telling to MAGA apologetics shows how political ambition corrupts even those who've experienced trauma firsthand. Her betrayal damages every survivor who trusted her to fight for justice. The darkest corners of humanity Mace once confronted apparently include her own willingness to shield powerful predators for political gain. This hypocrisy undermines legitimate survivors while protecting the systems that enabled their abuse. When abuse survivors become enablers of the abuse they once condemned, the moral foundation of representative democracy crumbles entirely. Will Mace's betrayal wake up other Republicans to the moral cost of protecting Trump? Can survivors trust any politician who puts party over justice? Share your thoughts below, subscribe for more accountability journalism, and hit that notification bell, because this hypocrisy represents everything wrong with our political system's treatment of abuse survivors.